Hi everybody, it's Kate Kalthoff. Welcome to a Fab Friday. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're going to do something with the Rooted in Nature bundle, and I think I've got a little bit different way of looking at it today, so you can benefit from that by following along and watching me make this card. Maybe you'll make your own cards based on this very simple idea, and of course you're welcome to share them on my Stamping to Share page. I love seeing what other people are up to. And so just making sure all the equipment is working good. Yay, we have a bunch of people already joining us. The thing that we're going to focus on besides the Rooted in Nature bundle is I want to share some things that my Stamping to Share downline have been making at my most recent team meeting. And so one of the things I love about being a team leader with Stampin' Up! Is that I have a wonderful group of downline members that I work with. And so every month when we get together, we broadcast out everything that we're doing. So whether you are local and just are unable to attend the meeting that night, or whether you live far away, you can still attend virtually through Facebook Lives in our private group. And so that's lots of fun. And I am going to be showing the cards that we made with the Blended Season bundle at our last get together. So I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead, I'll flip the camera down, and we'll look at some of those cards that we made at our last Creative Crafters Stamping to Share demonstrator meeting. And then we'll get on with our big project here, which is the Rooted in Nature bundle. And so this is the card that I'll be making for that. And it's really a stunner. So let's go ahead, we'll flip it down and get to work. So I know a lot of you like to do your shopping on weekends, as I do too. Sometimes I have just a little bit more time. So I'm going to share my host code through August 28th, which is right here. Another place to find my host code is on my Stamping to Share blog. And so that's just stampingtoshare.com, and you can find the host code in the right sidebar. Or if you're on your phone or tablet, just keep scrolling down to the bottom and then you'll find it there too. So I appreciate all of my customers placing orders, and I've had a lot of customers that have ordered the Blended Seasons bundle. You'll want to order it even more after I show you these cards because they are just stunning. So this bundle includes a 2-case stamp set, and the reason it's called Blended Seasons is you've got your fall, your kind of Christmas images, as well as some spring and summer images. And so let me here's the stitch season framelits that can work with that bundle. And then you also have the option of getting some watercolor pencils. So let me go ahead and share those cards with you that we did at our most recent demonstrator meeting. And so this is the first one, and it's absolutely lovely. Now, the background paper here is the Nature's Poem Designer Series paper, and I just love that new Grapefruit Grove color. It really shows off beautifully the Cajun craze that we used on here. And of course, we did use the watercolor pencils and then blended them out. So I'll give you a nice close-up of this card. And then we also did a Christmas card. So the first one was a fall card. Here was the Christmas card that my downline and I made together. And isn't it beautiful? Of course, it has some adhesive sequins. The adhesive sequins from Stampin' Up! Are really stellar because you don't have to fuss around with glue or glue dots. You just take them off their little panel and stick them right on your card where you want them. And then we made a summer card, or I should say a spring card. Let me grab that first because we're going to go in order here. Fall, winter, spring. This was the spring card, and it's so pretty. And again, you'll notice there's a lot of these little adhesive-backed sequins. And so I would really encourage you to give those a try. They are super nice to work with. And soon we'll have our new pick tool from Stampin' Up! That you'll be able to order out of our holiday catalog. And when that goes live on September 5th, you'll be able to get this too. And it really makes putting these sequins on nice and easy. And then the final card that we did in our group the other night when we had our demonstrator meeting was this one, which is kind of a summer card. This is pretty heavy on the coloring, but it is so worth the effort. And you can see there's a little flower here that's popped up, and it's just gorgeous. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing that. I have the most amazing group of downline members, and it's so much fun when we all get together. So let me show you the card we're making today, which looks just like this. And it is so much fun, and it's going to be a really easy card for you to make. I love making these kind of nice, easy cards because they're quick and they just go together so easily, and yet they have a lot of pop to them. And so this particular card is created with our new Mango Melody paper along with Cajun Craze, which is just a gorgeous combination. And then the basic black just really makes it pop, and I absolutely love the way this looks. So let me go ahead and we'll get started making this card. All right, so the first thing I want to show is the card base, and we're going to be using our Mango Melody card base. This is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and then I've scored it at 4.25. So that's just our general cardstock size that we use. I'm going to take my bone folder, give that a nice press here. And then the next thing we're going to do is cut a piece of Cajun Craze. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to be using this in an embossing folder. And this is one of the new embossing folders that just debuted in our annual catalog here earlier this summer. And this is the platform that you need to use. So you have your normal Big Shot platform, and then you put your embossing folder directly on it, because this is one of those really super thick embossing folders. So you don't use a plate under it. You only put one plate over the top, and then you run it through, and look at this. So again, the name of this embossing folder is Subtle. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can see just how gorgeously subtle this is. And I do hope you can see. Isn't that neat? That lovely, lovely texture that we're getting on here. All right, some of you are going to be freaking out again about my nails. So I kind of think I feel like I have to share with you what's going on with my nails. I use a Mood nail polish. So when I'm hot, the nails are bright pink. In other words, it's a real good indicator of whether or not I'm having a hot flash or what the weather happens to be like. And when I'm cold, the nails turn kind of this purple color. So that's what's going on with my nails, because I've had so many people comment on them. And I love Mood nail polish. I've been using it for a couple of years. It's just fun. And it's a good conversation starter when I'm out and about. So in fact, everywhere I go, people are like, oh my gosh, I love your nails. And so then I always tell them, oh, I have to have them nice for the YouTube videos that I make. And it's just a great conversation starter. All right, so somebody's asking me what side of the embossing folder do I need to use to make this texture show up? Well, typically, this is just a tip. You know where you see the Stampin' Up logo? That is typically what Stampin' Up considers to be the top. So if you put your paper in and then you pull it out, typically the top is where your logo is. However, and I will show you on this one, it makes no difference because the folder looks the same on the front as it does on the back. I'll just flip the paper here so you can see it. So this is the front and that's the back. So there's no difference for this particular embossing folder. All right, so let's go ahead now, and we are just going to go ahead and glue this straight on down because we don't have to worry about any ribbon wraps or anything like that. So I'm just going to use some multi-purpose liquid glue and just glue this on. And we are done with that particular section. All right, that looks good. I like glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. There we go. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to grab this, another panel here of our Mango Melody. And this panel is cut at 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then you also want a little panel of scrap paper. And I'm going to show you the next thing that we're doing to run this through the Big Shot machine. We have our magnetic platform, and then I have my cut plate on the bottom. I have a little scrap, and this little guy came up with my top plate. But you're going to cut out this little scrap because this is going to go on the inside of our card. I didn't even share with you what the inside of the card looks like, but it's pretty stellar. And then this little cutout here is also going to go on the inside of our card. And then this is the panel that we're going to put on the outside of our card. And then this little guy, you can just toss him. So we'll put him in the recycling bin. All right, so let's go ahead now and continue to work with putting this all together. So what we want to do with this one is put that onto a layer of basic black. So that panel is going to be 1/4 inch larger than this panel. So that's going to make it 3 by 4 inches. And then again, we can just go ahead and put this right on because there's no ribbon wraps or anything real special we need to do with this. So we can just add a little glue and then we'll just set this right on like this. Just like so. Doesn't that look great? Okay, so there is one. Now the other thing we need to do is, if I'll bring the card right back here in the picture, we need to make this little background piece here. So let me show you how I'm doing that. I happen to have another piece of the Mango Melody paper. This is 3/4 inches square, and you don't have to have it this big. You can just grab a scrap. Just make sure it's 3 3/4 inches wide. That's kind of the bigger deal. And then there's 2 ways of tearing paper. I don't know if you know this or not, but if you tear it towards you, in fact, I've got a scrap here that I can use to show you this. If you tear the paper towards you, you will get this kind of shredded look to the front. And if you tear the paper away from you, so if you go like this and tear it away from you, you don't have the shredded look. Okay, does that make any sense? So what we want to do is, I don't really care for the shredded look. I know that, you know, it adds a little it adds a little bit of tonality and all of that, but I don't know, it's just something I'm not big on. So I'm going to tear the paper away from me so that I don't have that shredded look. So here we go. So all you need to do is take a 3/4 inch wide piece of paper and just tear it like this. And that's going to be your little piece that you're going to glue onto your card right here. Now I feel like this is a little bit too straight across. If you'll notice on the card that I have here, I think it looks cooler if you have a smaller edge on one side and then more of a hill on the other. So I'm just going to start on this side then, and again, tearing it away from me, just going to jag it in a little bit so that we have a higher end and a lower end. And I'm still going to bring it up. There we go. Okay, so now this is ready to go onto our card. So again, it's just going to be a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue on the back. And then we'll just go ahead and set this in, just like so. And there we are. So now we're kind of ready for our panel here. But before I do that, I think I want to do a little stamping. So one of the cool stamp sets that's in this, or one of the cool stamps in this stamp set is Be Strong, Be Happy, Be You. Now, one of the problems with stamping directly onto your cards with a stamp set like this is sometimes you want to mask different things out. And normally that's not a big deal. I just put a little Scotch tape on it and I mask it out. Remember to take your tape off and then stamp it and it won't show up. However, this card or this particular stamp looks so good with the words cut out that this is what we're going to do. We're just going to ink this up with Stays on Black. Okay, there's a reason I'm using Stays on Black. It actually looks really vibrant on our regular cardstock, so that's why I'm using Stays on Black. I'm just going to press this in, and I'm giving it a couple of seconds to really absorb good into the paper. And you have your beautiful words all stamped out. Now, I did do this in advance just because I didn't want to mess with it in case it wasn't quite dry for the video. So I've got one here that I have stamped on just the tiniest little scrap here. And all we're going to do is quickly cut these out because these are just so easily trimmable and they look kind of cool, just sort of, you know, glued right onto your card. So that is what we're going to do. So we're going to do be strong, be happy, and then on the inside we're going to put be you. All right, so now we can just go ahead and put this on. So we'll do the be strong part first. So I'll just add a little glue to the back here. We'll put this right up here. And it just looks cool. I don't know, there's just something about cutout words that's just really, really trendy right now. So if you want to give your cards kind of a new oomph, cutout words are cool, as well as stamping them in black. That's kind of a cool look too, where you have this little black sentiment. That's sort of an in thing right now. Okay, so there we go. We got it done. And then the last thing that we're going to put on this panel before we actually put it onto our card is one of these cute little leaves. So I'm just going to take this copper one here, and we actually need to get it black because I want it to be black. I mean, copper would probably look pretty good, but I just think it's going to look better in black. So again, we're going to use the StazOn because the StazOn Jet Black is great for stamping on vellum and glossy, and it's also great for coloring your embellishments. So I'm just going to drop my leaf right onto the StazOn Black like this. Then I'll grab a Kleenex just because I don't want to get my fingers full of ink. Just press that down, and then you can pull it off, and you can see you get a really nice black image. So I might do this a couple of times, make sure it's as black as I want it to be. And then you actually do have to set it aside for a little bit to dry. So, because I knew that was going to happen on this video, I am super prepared today, and I have one that I did last night right before I went to bed. So here it is, all dry, and it is ready to be put onto our card. So how I put an embellishment on my card, because I find that it stays very well, is I just use glue dots. So I'm just going to take a glue dot. I'm going to use my paper piercing tool here. So I don't want a great big one. I just kind of want to roll this up so it sort of fits back here where the stem is. And these glue dots, oh my gosh, once they get on this metal, they will not come off. Oh my goodness. I tried to get one off the other day when I was making this card, and it was just about impossible. So there's something about metal and glue dots that they just work together really good. So you only need 2 of them. So I put one at the top and one at the bottom. And then all you have to do is put it on your card. So I just flip it around, set it here in the bottom corner, give it a press, and it is on there, okay? So now another thing we can do is grab some dimensionals, and we're gonna add our panel to our card. All right, so we're gonna flip this over. We're gonna set this right here and make sure it's pretty much even. Right to left, top to bottom, give it a press, and the front of our card is complete. Yay, and it looks so pretty. So now let's do the inside panel. So I didn't even show you the inside panel because I wanted to keep it as a surprise. So here it is, and look at that. So what I did is I took this extra piece right here and I glued this in down here. So it has just this really subtle texture on the inside of the card. So here it is. I mean, that is just such a neat look. And then I took another leaf over here, and then of course we're going to stamp a leaf here, and then we've got our BU that we're cutting out and putting in here. So let's go ahead and finish this off. So here we have the little cutout. So that's easy peasy. We can just go ahead and glue that on. If I can get it on there. There we go. Okay. So we'll set this down here in the lower left. Just make it even with the bottom of the card. Try to make sure your tree is growing straight to the sun so he's not crooked. There he goes. And then we can add our BU. So So I'll just put a little glue on that. We'll set that kind of, about a third of the way down from the top. That's kind of where I think sentiments should go, but everybody has different opinions about that. And that looks good. Then we'll take this little leaf cutout that we did, and we'll add this. Set him in there like that. And then all we have to do, again, bringing our StazOn Jet Black ink in, we're going to ink up the actual leaf stamp, and we're going to stamp that right here. So I'll give that a second for the ink to take, and then our card will be complete. There we go, and it's gorgeous. All right, now I do have a good question coming in, and I do want to answer it because it's something I get all the time. People always ask me, Kay, sometimes you use glue and sometimes you use tape runner, and what in the world is the difference? And why do you sometimes use glue? Why do you sometimes use tape runner? Why not just use one all the time? Okay, well, I do have a reason. When I am layering cardstock, I like to use glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room so that I can make sure all of my layers are perfectly in place. If I were to use snail while I am layering, I don't always get that wiggle room. So I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you've got snail all over your layer, you're about to put it down, and then it's a little off, but you know you're going to rip the paper if you take it up, and so then you just leave it, and then some poor soul gets a card with the layers all kind of kitty wonky. So that's why I use glue. And then about the only time I really use snail is when I'm working with Whisper White or Very Vanilla. If I have a layer that has things that are stamped on it and it's in Whisper White or Very Vanilla. So for example, this card was done in Whisper White, and I would use my snail adhesive for that, because if I use glue and you do your normal glue line around, the problem, and you don't see it right away, but about 3 months down the road, you will see a little glue line show through. And I think the reason is because the Very Vanilla and the Whisper White are very hard pressed. So that makes them really good for stamping on, but it also makes the paper just the tiniest bit thinner than, say, our regular cardstock like this. So in that case, I always use the snail because I don't want down the road, not that people are going to keep my cards for 3 months, but some of my customers do. I mean, sometimes I'll go to their house and they'll have a card that I gave them months and months ago that's still on the refrigerator. Well, I don't want glue lines showing up on that. So that's why I do it. And not everyone is so picky or even cares about that stuff. But oddly enough, I am picky and I do care about it. And so that's why I do it. Very good question. All right, so I think I am done here. I'm going to show you the 2 cards that we made today. Have a great day, everyone. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a super weekend too. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.